Hello and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagbobo. Today on the show, we'll look at Chibok Girls Abduction 10 years anniversary. Here's a rundown of our talking points. We'll look at the fate of abductees and those released. We'll talk about the state of government's rescue efforts and tackling the spate of kidnappings in schools. Our guest joins us live from Maiduguri in Borno State. His name is Abdulkareem Haruna, a security journalist. He is the editor of the Lake Chad at HumAngle for over a decade, and presently Abdulkareem covers Boko Haram conflicts and the crisis in the Lake Chad region of northeastern Nigeria. So let's get straight to the show. Now, on the night of the 14th, 15th of April 2014, 276 mostly Christian female students aged 16 to 18 were kidnapped by the Islamic terrorist group Boko Haram from the government girls' secondary school at the town of Chibok in Borno State, Nigeria. Now, prior to the raid, the school had been closed for 4 weeks due to deteriorating security conditions. Initially, 57 of the schoolgirls escaped immediately following the incident by jumping from the trucks on which they were being transported, and others have been rescued by the Nigerian armed forces on various occasions. Now, Boko Haram has used the girls as negotiating pawns in prisoner exchanges, offering to release some girls in exchange for some of their captured commanders in jail. Now, let's give you a rundown of the timeline of the release and escape of the girls so far. Now, in 2014, of course, April 14th, Chibok girls were abducted. And of course, in 2014, 57 escaped shortly after the abduction. And in 2016, we saw 3 girls being released, Amina Ali, and of course 21 released after negotiations on the 13th of October. And then Marian Ali was also released on the 5th of November. You fast forward to 2017, Rekia Gali Abubakar was released on January 5th, and 82 released after negotiations on the 6th of May. And in 2018, Salome Pogu was released on the 4th of January. And then you fast forward to 2021, about 5 of the girls was released. You fast forward to 2022, and you can see the list of girls released. That's about, I think, almost 10 of them. And then in 2023, we saw about 5 of the girls released again, and the timeline is showing right there. And so far, 185 girls have returned. And of course, we've got about 91 of the girls who are still remaining. And much more has to be done to recover the number of girls who are still, of course, missing and away from their parents. It's really a sad situation. Now, some have described their capture in their appearances with newsmen. Here is just a few of the girls that have been released so far, and to commemorate 10 years of their abduction, this is what they had to say.
Sai in yi tunanin cewa gaskiya wayannan fa sun cuci rayuwa na an baka ba da ba su kwashe mu suka tafi da mu jejin can ba da rayuwa na mayafi wannan.
Lokacin da na ji cewa ana kwashe mutane gaskiya ban ji daɗi ba, har ina kuka cewa har yanzu sauran 'yan matan mu ma ba su fita ba, har yanzu ana kwashe ana kinafi ana ta yin me kaman gwamnati ba sa take a kan mutane ne ko mene, ba sa tunanin cewa ana ta kwashe mutane ne ko mene haka. Mu ba ma gane abubuwan da yake faruwa yanzu.
I just want to be an example to others, that let them see that all the way this thing happened to me, I didn't give up. I'm still work hard and try my best to be something.
2 weeks will actually pass by without me at least remembering something from there, because I mean, it's inevitable. This journey itself, like, it's a product of that incident, right? I ended up in America. I mean, like me going to a private school, a better school, it all happened because of this incident. So whatever I do.
From what you just listened to, not all of the girls are finding it easy. But let's hear some of the sound bites from the parents of the girls as they recount the trauma of what they have had to deal with.
When I remember this, my doctor, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I am sorry. Because she's the only best doctor among those I have that the God gave me. So I will never forget her. I will never forget her. In fact, I will never forget her.
When the incident happened at that 14th April, in fact, we were all shocked. And even though we are still waiting to see how the government and even those that can help to see that this almost 10 years we didn't see our daughter. We are still praying for Allah to, go around the issue to bring them back for us alive.
I've been unhappy since I heard of our coming here, and I've been praying that our children return so I can also rejoice with others.
Now, the chairman association of the abducted Chibok girls expresses disappointment over the failure of government to rescue the remaining girls.
A lot of girls has been adopted in this country, but why our own is so exceptional? Up to these days, we are still having a lot of them missing. That's what makes us so much annoyed, because of government give a series of promise that they will get these girls out.
Now, let's hear from what stakeholders have been doing so far. This is the vice chairman of the Chibok local government area, recounting efforts that the local government has put in rescuing the girls.
There are so many efforts that my local government are doing to see that these girls are released. So many times we had security meetings, we challenge the militaries, we give them information.
And now to the armed forces. Brigadier Commander of the 28th Task Force Chibok, spoke on the Nigerian Army's commitment to rescuing the remaining girls.
Efforts are being made at various levels, from the federal to the state, and especially in the military hierarchy, to make sure that we do all within our powers to make sure that these girls are out.
And also the Commissioner for Information and Internal Security in Borno State reinstated his commitment to rescuing the girls and rehabilitation of the released rescued girls.
We shall not rest on our oars until the last of our innocent girls are back home with their families. On this auspicious occasion of the 10th anniversary of the abduction of Chibok girls, the Borno State government identifies with all those who are affected by the abduction. The government wishes to inform the public that we will continue to identify and commiserate with the parents and relatives of the Chibok girls who are still in captivity, while we work assiduously on the rehabilitation of those who have been rescued.
Now, before our guest joins us to talk about this very serious challenge that is still lingering, talking about kidnapping of school children, let's give you a rundown of what this conversation will focus on. Decades after Boko Haram's attack on Chibok, 82 girls still in captivity. Over 1,700 children abducted by gunmen since 2014. And we've had 17 mass school abductions recorded in 6 years. So far, 20 released Chibok girls are forced to marry former Boko Haram fighters. And this information is coming in from the Amnesty International. Well, joining the conversation is Abdulkareem Haruna, a security journalist who has been covering this particular, issue for the past 10 years. Thank you, Haruna, for being with us in Politics Now.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so let's get straight to it. What are your reflections on 10 years of this abduction? I mean, one would not believe that some of the girls are still missing, but the reality is that they actually are. So what are your thoughts when you look back past this 10 years you've been covering the Chibok Girls Abduction?
I would say 10 years ago, like today, 10 years later, we are all busy trying to wrap our heads around the situation that erupted at that time. That is the abduction of 270 students, that is girls, from their dormitory. We couldn't believe that that was possible. But as the days went by, we began to have the feelers as to what really happened. As journalists, we are really new to that kind of situation because at that time the insurgency was new, and like trying to make calls, trying to find out what really happened. Days later, I think I was among the journalists that traveled to Chibok in the convoy of the government about that time, because that was the safest way to do that. And when I got to Chibok, we met some of these girls that escaped initially. That's about 57 of them. We interviewed them, and then efforts were put together by government and even some of the community members in trying to go after these abducted girls. We never thought it would take this long. We thought in matters of days, weeks, these girls will be rescued and brought back to their community and rejoin with their families. But unfortunately, this is 10 years, and we still have some of these girls in captivity. Though within these 10 years, we have a series of rescue, or negotiated rescue initially, and then afterwards, some of these girls came out on their own, while some were also said to have been rescued by security personnel during raids of some of these hideout of the Boko Haram. So that has been the story, and today we still have about 80-something of them that are in captivity. Though a lot of stories were told, a lot of about whether some are still alive, whether some have refused to come out on their own, but we still have that significant number that are yet to be rescued, and it's really a big issue to the families. Some of the families, some of the parents have even died, according to some of my findings, but yes, the state government is telling us that they are still hopeful of getting the remaining 89 girls.
Now, what is the fate of these girls? How have they lived through this tragedy from your reporting so far?
We have different phases of rescue, though some escaped. As I said earlier, about 57 of them that escaped initially. Those who are lucky, some have gotten scholarship, even some are currently living abroad, and so on. They are doing fine. Those do not have issues concerning maybe their acceptance and so on. Yes, there are cases of rejection. Yeah, they are not that significant, but there are cases of rejection, yes, that I've heard about, and especially for those that have been rescued. Though, according to the government, majority of them have been enrolled in schools, adult education, skills acquisition, and so on. Some are within some of these, even some are in Apti University and so on. But we still hear cases of this stigmatization. People they are still being seen as associates of Boko Haram, especially those that have changed their religion, those that were Christian before and now have agreed to continue to be Muslims. I wouldn't be mentioning names here, but we have cases of rejection even from within the family. There's one particular one that got married in Chibok, and afterwards, even the husband still kind of stigmatized her, sometimes use her experience against her, and so on. I think, and that affected the marriage. We have those issues. There are also reported but unconfirmed cases of stigmatization and so on, even within the facility they are being trained. But that has not been confirmed because some of them are saying that they still, those providing care for them are still using some negative attitudes to them because of their experiences. So that has been a problem.
All right, now the Kibako Area Development Association, CADA, and the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement have called on the Nigerian government and the Borno State government to release the rescued girls in their custody to their families and not to any terrorists in the name of marriage. And this notion has been supported from some of the information that I shared with you earlier from Amnesty International. But this group said failure to comply with the demand will result in legal action against the Borno State government and all its officials who participated in the alleged forced marriages. And the group stated this on Sunday in Abuja during the press conference to mark the 10th anniversary of the abduction of the schoolgirls. Can you help us make sense of these accusations? It's not just coming from them, but even also from Amnesty International.
I think 2 days ago, we had an interaction with the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development in Borno State, and that is Hajia Zoera Gambo. And this same issue was brought out to her, and she actually explained that there wasn't anything like forced marriages. If you know, most of these girls that were initially released were being managed or sent to school or skill acquisition center by the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. That what they have currently in their custody used to be 20, but sometimes last year 4 of them, because these girls, though they are in a facility where they are getting skills acquisition and so on, but they are still allowed to free movement. That is, they can go to market, they can visit their families during festivities. And that 4 of those girls that left to visit their family didn't come back, and they called to say that their relatives, their uncle, their parents have married them off when during their visit, so they are not coming back. And presently, they have 16 of them in their custody, and most of these girls are adults and they have children, some 2, 3, 1 child, 2 children, and so on. They are adults, and the commissioner insisted that there was no any kind of arranged or forced marriage because these girls are adults, and that the government has no business to do with their private life if they want to marry. But as it is now, the 16 of them are still in custody, and even some of their family members visit them during the last Salah to celebrate with them. So that there wasn't anything like that, because that was actually a big issue during the press conference, and we brought it out and they denied it.
Okay, now, but the question is, why is the government keeping them in custody for so long? Because for these girls to be able to cope socially, psychologically, mentally, even spiritually, I mean, everybody needs family. So I'm wondering why the government will, lay claim to these girls and not allow them to live with their family members.
Yeah, that question was also asked. Because we actually asked, how long does it take for these girls to remain in the custody of government before they are reunited with their family? The Commissioner for Information and the Commissioner for Women Affairs, who anchored that press conference, said that there are procedure of providing psychosocial support to these girls. These are the girls that have spent many years in custody, that for them to get over their trauma, there are procedures and counseling and so on that's going on. It takes time. And also while doing that, some of them have agreed that they want to learn some certain skills, and that's what they are doing. So that's the explanation that the government gave to to us, and they insisted that they are priority children or citizens now because of their experiences, and they cannot just allow them to just go without getting the full dose of the psychosocial support.
Okay, now we looked at the timeline from 2014 to 2024, looking at some of the rescue efforts from the government and even the efforts of the girls to escape. Can you walk us through the Goodluck administration, the Buhari-led administration, and now the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration? What did each of these governments do to facilitate the rescue of these girls? And was it enough? Because we still have, close to 90 of the girls that we have no explanation, for whether they are alive or they're still in captivity.
Right from the time of President Goodluck Jonathan, when this incident happened, there have been commitment by government to see that these girls are rescued. Though nothing happened during Jonathan's time, and when Buhari came, it was long into his administration that a negotiated rescue was carried out, and then about 108 of them came out. Then subsequently, some certain numbers keep coming out in batches. That was it. After that time, those two cases of negotiated rescue, we have not had anything. You see, some of the rescue that we actually hear about is either these girls were found wandering in the bush, and then they were picked and brought out to the security or to the Borno State government, or during the raid on maybe hideout of the insurgents. Then you see then one or two of them will be found, and then they will be brought out, brought to the security, then they handed over to the Borno State government. But when you said a kind of rescue, maybe a mission was carried out to go and rescue them, there wasn't anything significant. It is just cases of these girls finding their way out, just like other women and children are finding their way out. So that is it. We've not had anything serious that's been talking about the rescue until 2 days ago, when the Borno State government had a press conference committing themselves to see that these girls are going to be, the remaining of the girls are going to get, but they didn't tell us how or when it's going to happen. And we have not had any serious, maybe any strategic effort being put or negotiation being put out there to see that these girls are rescued. But people are coming out, and of maybe 100, 200 people, sometimes we'll be lucky, one of the people being rescued or that have surrendered have come out Chibok Girls. Then we just come, we have one Chibok Girls. But saying that for now, we have not seen anything serious concerning the remaining girls. Even though we've had a lot of stories that some may not be alive, God forbid, but that's just the situation now.
Okay. Now, can you help us with the facts and figures of those who are alive and those who are not alive? Because the controversy over the number and the figure, is just mind-boggling. Some are saying 81, some say 87, some say 91. We don't know what to believe, but what do you know that you can tell us on the show today?
There's nothing one can say, or I particularly can say, because I don't have the facts. All we hear is hearsay. People will tell you that some might be dead. I've interviewed some of these rescued females who are not necessarily Chibok girls, who say some of them have died. But one cannot place a finger on any figure to say that, look, this number of girls that are alive and some are dead. But a lot of people die in captivity. We have a lot of cases of people that have died, have lost their life while in captivity. We have seen families who have not been able to reunite with their abducted family members. And at the end of the day, we understand that they are no longer alive. So Chibok girls, some of these children may not be exempted from this kind of unfortunate situation, but giving an exact number as to how many have died or how many are still alive It's not something that I or anyone can easily say.
Okay, now Haruna, when we talk about insecurity, something is really concerning to me because I'm enlightened just like, majority of Nigerians are. And I'm aware of technologies, you have the geographic information systems, you can easily have a view of what is going on in a particular environment without physical contact, because that's what aerial sensing is all about. We've got aircrafts that, are our Air Force in the country, they have these resources, and you can actually see the location of Sambisa forest. So in my mind, and for those people who are aware of these technologies, we're like, okay, how does this, Boko Haram, insurgents, how do they appear elusive, to the jurisdiction of the Borno State government? But that's not really my focus. The question I want to ask you now is, why do you think this has lingered this long? We're looking at 10 years, and a lot of people are still in captivity, not just even with the issue of Chibok situation, but across the board, you've got men, women, and children who've been captured. But why does this continue to linger on? Why has this not been something that has been dealt with? We had a situation where, Hollywood celebrities, I recall Michelle Obama, when her husband was president of the United States, tried to raise awareness regarding this issue. And one will think with all of that publicity, with all of that awareness, we would have had all the mechanisms and all the techniques that we would use to get these girls back to their families, but that has not been the case.
You see, Sambisa forest is it's a very expansive forest reserve of the government. It has been there for a very long time. And when we say Sambisa forest, although it's within Borno State and also shares borders with parts of Adamawa State, it's a very expansive forest that has not been occupied for a very long time. You see, and Sambisa forest, according to those some of these people, as well those repentant insurgents and those that surrendered, in some of the interviews I have with them, they say when governments say that they have invaded Sambisa forest, they've not even gotten to the core of Sambisa forest. There are places, according to some of the abductees that have been rescued, or some of the girls that were able to make it out, that there are some certain places, the foliage is so thick that you cannot even see the sky. So that so when we say from Sambisa forest, it's not just a very tiny portion of forest, it's a very expansive game forest reserve that has been there for a very long time. And these terrorists take advantage of those places. So there are a lot of places that you have to even traverse with, there's waters you have to pass through, there are mountains and so on within this forest reserve. So it's a very expansive place. So we shouldn't look at it as one small, tiny portion of forest that can be surrounded and then the people will be rooted out. That has been the challenge, getting to the core of Sambisa forest. Even at the time that the military said they have captured Sambisa forest, the Boko Haram was still there, because the same Sambisa forest that was captured some years ago is still the same place where somebody like Sheka was eventually killed and during an interfight and so on. So that is the challenge. And these terrorists have over time amassed themselves with a lot of sophisticated weapons. And these weapons, we don't know how they got about it. Some, they got it through the raid those days of military and police establishment, and they amassed themselves. And I would believe they also got some from outside the country. But these guys were heavily armed. I remember during the time of the former chief of defense staff, that is Iraboda, when he was the theater commander, he addressed a press conference of how one of these terrorists led them to a massive cache of arms that were buried somewhere in Sambisa forest. He said, what they recover at that time, if I could quote Irabo, could be that could be used to wage a major war against the state, and they were so happy that they've been able to recover this. So these guys were so armed. But thank God, presently, yes, there are sort of surrender and a lot of recovery of these arms and so on. So this crisis drags this long because these guys were well fortified, they are well armed, and they took advantage of the Sambisa forest. That's all. The forest they lived for a very long time. They know the terrain, and each time the military comes, they set a lot of landmines everywhere in the forest, and these landmines, kill many of our troops and so on. So it has been very difficult for them to really go to the core of this forest to root out these people. So up till now, Sambisa forest is still a major challenge.
Okay. Now, the issue of hostages, do you think that this could be the reason why the government has found it difficult to keep the activities, of the Boko Haram in check? Because you wonder with the technology that we have and the monies that has been, earmarked for to tackle insecurity in the country, and we still have, just from the information of Amnesty International, the skyrocketed number of abductions that we've had to deal with. Even this year, 2024, you recalled what happened in Kaduna. So you just ask yourself what the real problem is.
The military, one will give you to them, despite some of their shortcomings, which are excusable. I think adhering to the rules of engagement is one of the things that I really want to commend the military for, especially in recent years. You remember, even when the Boko Haram, the Chibok girls were said to be in a particular location within Sambisa forest, one of the reasons they couldn't raid that place because of avoiding unnecessary casualty from the side of the civilians. So they believe that these civilians are used as human shields to protect them from attack. And within Sambisa forest, instead there are patch of villages. They have different villages within. That is where these guys are living, and most of these villages are occupied by these terrorists. So for you to go and carry out an air raid, it's going to be catastrophic, especially the collateral damage that can happen there. So I think that was one of the reasons the military is avoiding that kind of air raids just to wipe out everybody. We've had cases, they have been very careful. If you remember the case of Iran, sometimes I think 2017 or 2018, Iran, when there was the military got a coordinate that they have a collection of these terrorists at a place very close to Iran, and this coordinate was given to the aircraft, the pilot, who was scrambled and to go for an attack, but unfortunately it was mistaken for an IDP car, and over 100 people died in that sad incident. So I think that is one of the reasons, maybe holding back the military from carrying that kind of air raid indiscriminately to see that they wipe up this terrorists.
Okay, Haruna, there is an allegation that I'd love for you to debunk for us, if there is any iota of truth in this. Now, we've seen reports that 20 released Chibok girls have been forced to marry former Boko Haram fighters. Is this true?
I am not sure that is true. Or if they are forced to marry Boko Haram fighters, but the fact is that some of them who are married to these guys while in captivity, some of them has professed love for their husbands. I know of a case of one lady during the time of President Muhammad Buhari who was rescued, and she came out with, I think, she was not rescued, they escaped with the guy she married there who's a Boko Haram member, and they both escaped out, and they ran into the military who brought them to Maiduguri. And when the girl was about to be taken to Abuja to the presidency for a handover, she insisted that she won't go except with her husband. I think they had to do a lot of cajoling, a lot of persuasion for her to go. So, when some of them have developed some kind of feelings, and we still have some that still refer to this guy as my husband. Yes, we interviewed some about last year, about 3 of them that were rescued, and when they are referring to the father of their child, they call him my husband was this, my husband was that. So some of them still believe they are married to this man, but some, after coming out, they rejected any kind of form of relationship with these people. So I would say they are being forced to marry these people because I don't have that confirmation, but I know some of them have that kind of relationship that is very, I would say love, because they found themselves in a situation they don't have option. But some have feelings that, okay, the father of their child is still their husband. But forcing them to marry is not what I can confirm.
Okay. Now, thank you for your thoughts there. But when you look at some of the concerns raised by Amnesty International, you look at 1,700 children abducted by the gunmen since 2014, and then 17 mass school abductions recorded in 6 years over the course of your coverage in Borno State. What do you think Nigeria has ignored? Because this was supposed to be a lesson class for us in terms of handling insecurity, in terms of how we, build infrastructures in schools to prevent this kind of situation from ever happening again. So what have we missed as a nation?
The lesson we've not learned is that, or I think the problem with the Nigerian government is that we are easy to forget that about things that have happened. You see, when you say a school like Chibok was attacked, a school like Dapchi was attacked, and so on, you should know that we need some level of protection for those schools, as for students or pupils in school. That protection isn't there. We still have some schools that are still very vulnerable. We still have some schools out there that are not protected. We need some level of protection. You see, I don't know whether it has to do with lack of manpower. For example, if a certain community is reclaimed from the terrorists and the military stay there for some time, and the military is moving on, nobody moves in to secure that community. And you see these guys coming back to occupy that community. So we've not been able to learn that lesson of trying to improve our security system, especially for the civilian population. For example, I commend the Borno State government for moving the federal government college Mongono. Yes, the government gets college Mongono. Mongono is one of the heartbeat of the Boko Haram insurgency, where a lot of attacks occurred. But that school has been moved to Maiduguri, and school is currently within Maiduguri. So I think similar steps should be taken in other schools that are in remote places. If you cannot move them, then provide enough security to secure those schools. And if it is not possible for Nigerian government to operate a boarding school where students have to pass the night there, I think it's better every child goes to school and returns to their home every day, because we lack capacity to protect children in school. Look at most of the schools that have been attacked, even in the Northwest. These are boarding schools. These are schools where children go to bed with just one gate man with a damn gun at the gate securing them. What kind of protection do you think that kind of gate man or security man will provide when people coming with assault rifles are coming to attack?
Okay, now what can government do differently to stop abduction of school children? I recalled with you just a while ago that we saw what happened in Kaduna. So what's the possibility that we don't get to see things like this happen again? Is this administration doing things differently? What do we need to do differently, Haruna?
Well, first, I think government should invest more on the security of the country. So much invest more in protecting the lives and property of the citizens of Nigeria, which is the number one constitutional role of government. Enough security should be provided for all land and areas of Nigeria, especially those areas that are bordering the other countries where we have porous security there. Enough security should be provided. And there are a lot of ungoverned spaces in the country, whether in the Northwest whether in the north central and the northeast. Sambisa forest is an example of an ungoverned space. Government should take advantage of these places. These places should not be allowed to be invaded by anybody. When you are going in, you should state your purpose of going in. If you are going to farm, you should know that you are going in there to farm, and when you are coming out, you should know that you are coming out. This is the time you are coming out. People should not be allowed to occupy ungoverned spaces because those are the locations where this kind of crimes fester. So I think government should concentrate more on providing security and also to improve the welfare of our troops. We have lost a lot of troops. We have lost a lot of personnel in the military, in the police, and their welfare is not really something to be proud of. Even as a Nigerian, I think they should recruit more hands. You see, when you make the job of the security very attractive, more people want to be there. But when you are not giving priority to their welfare, people want to do a lot of things to even frustrate the effort that the government is doing. So the more investment should be done in the area of security.
Okay, Haruna, as we begin to wind things down, on the federal government level, what would you say has been the response of the Tinubu administration? Because I recall during the campaign period, I mean, this was one of the key talking points, most especially for places in northeastern Nigeria.
Yes, when you talk about Tinubu, I was really impressed by the attitude of the president the very first time he met the security chiefs, and his commitment to give them all that it takes to see that they secure the country and to root out terrorism, they root out all kind of bandits from the country. And I am so impressed to hear him saying that we are going to give you all that it takes to succeed, that he is ready. I think for that, I will say, okay, it's the right step taken in the right direction. But I think there's still a lot of improvement that needs to be done, especially on the issue of Chibok Girls. The government has not really spoken loud enough concerning Chibok Girls. Of course, Chibok Girls are not the only girls in captivity. We have thousands of other women and girls that are in captivity. But I think the government should speak more about these people and speak more about ending this insurgency and banditry. So I think more needs to be done in terms of investment, in terms of budget allocation and so on, and terms of equipment for the military. The government.
Okay, Haruna, I know you must have worked with a lot of international organizations and also countries, but what would you say, about their commitment to the Bring Back Our Girls campaign initiative? So can you just walk us through the impact of the international community in all of this? Was it just all a public show? I mean, I remember clips, I think one of the Oscars, some of these Hollywood celebrities, were out there displaying the placards of Bring Back Our Girls campaign initiative. Was it really impactful when you look back over the past 10 years?
I think the endorsement of great personality like Michelle Obama and so on is really commendable because it really gave voice to the local efforts being made to see that the Chibok girls are rescued. But beyond that, I've not seen anything significant because even the kind of support that we seek, at the time we find Nigeria struggling to even get arms from the international community. At the time we see Nigeria have been going through the back doors to see that they bought arms. We've not seen that for community. Of course, we have seen some of these foreign forces that are embedded in the multinational joint force and even at the theater command. But I came to understand that it's just some kind of technical maybe training and support. But beyond that, we need something more solid, something in terms of arms. We need more support in terms of provision of, military hardwares. That we need support also in the area of the digital technology that can help us to take care of this situation frontally. I think that in that area, I think it is lacking, and we need more commitment. Beyond the commitment they are making, we know that the international community is giving support for training of people, but not support for humanitarian support. But the war is still going on. They've not really given us enough in the area of support for our military to succeed in the rooting out this insurgency and banditry.
All right, you're still watching Politics Now on LN 24/7. Abdulkareem Haruna is still with us, sharing us with his experience on covering the Chibok abductions. We'll take a quick breather. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Delighted to know you're still with us on Politics Now. Today we are throwing the searchlight on the Chibok abduction. It's the 10th year anniversary, and of course it's just a whole roller coaster of emotions when you look at some of the clips that we played earlier on the show. The reactions from the girls, the reactions from the parents, the reactions from the local government chairman, and also the security operatives working, with a task force that's securing the lives of people in that particular community. But Haruna is still with us. Before we come to you, Haruna, we've got a sound bite of the principal of the government school trying to give us, the feel of the atmosphere presently in Chibok local government area and the school in particular. Let's have a look.
The structure of the school has been expanded more than before, because currently we are having, in terms of every structure, we have enough. And in terms of the student, the population of students is also increasing, unlike the time when the school resumed. So really, the structure of the school is now fully in operation, and students and teachers are also okay with the system at the place that is Chibok. It's not a boarding school. We are operating on a day basis.
All right, Haruna, we're back to you. Thank you for being with us. Now, before we let you go, we want to know what the current situation is like in that school. Is it still in business? Are they still admitting students? What is the pulse in Chibok community at this time, given the 10th year anniversary that the whole nation is reflecting on?
Chibok, especially the school, I think the school has bounced back because, because the school has been in the spotlight. Definitely government will do a lot of things to support. There are a lot of support from the UNDP, from the federal government, and from Borno State government in seeing that the school is rebuilt. And the school has been in one of the I've been operating in a different location, but in the last 4 years, I think they are back to the same location that the government secondary school, Chibok. And I spoke with the principal of the current principal of the school, and he said that they have over 1,000 population of students in that school. Though the school is a mixed school, and it's no longer a boarding school, but children go to school from their homes. And before now, most of the parents around Chibok community send their children to school in somewhere in Askira or some in part of Adamawa State. But according to the headmaster, that now that the school is fully functional and is well protected by the military, that they've been able to now, people are coming back to enroll their kids in the school. And that during the last WAEC and NECO examinations, there are a lot of security measures that are put up by the military, because there is a base, not a base, there's a deployment of the military that's permanently in the school, and that the school is fully functional, and that the military itself is even providing some other support for the school, like medical attention and so on, just to encourage kids to come to school. So for now, the school is doing well. Yes, the Chibok community, yes, well, of course, is one of the closest community to Sambisa Forest. There have been some pocket of attacks around Chibok in the last month, last year, and I think early part of this year. But I think people reside there. Though getting to Chibok is not easy. It requires military escort for you to get to Chibok. but the community is still there, and they are doing well.
Okay, Abdulkareem Haruna, thank you so much for joining us on Politics Now.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, the pleasure is mine. Always we would appreciate your thoughts on national security right here on Politics Now. Our time is fast spent. Once again, thank you, dear viewers at home, for joining us on the show tonight. Once again, my name is Morno Balagubo. Keep it locked right here on LN 24/7.